Hearing today in the committee in which we asked Ms. Lerner, whose lawyer had indicated that under certain conditions she would testify. She chose not to testify. After an exhaustive 7 questions, I determined that she was not under any circumstances going to testify, and pursuant to an already completed hearing other than her testimony, I adjourned. At this we will continue our investigation into the IRS targeting of conservative groups without the testimony of Ms. Lerner. Are there any questions?
So why did you not let Mr. Cummings continue his questions?
There were no. He was not directing questions toward the witness, and the committee had already adjourned.
But why did you adjourn, returning to your colleague and asking him?
Pursuant to the committee, we recessed only to determine whether or not we could get her to give testimony. Once it was determined she could not give testimony, there was no question before us. Mr. Cummings did not raise a point of privilege or a point of order, and in fact, I did recognize him when he said he had a question. He went into an opening statement. Opening statements had already been completed. There were 40 members sitting at the dais, and we had already adjourned. Therefore, I left because there was no question pending.
What's next? Shut it down. Why would you say shut it down?
Because he was talking into a mic in an adjourned meeting. The fact is, Mr. Cummings came to make a point of his objections to the process we've been going through. He was actually slandering me at the moment that the mics did go off by claiming that this had not been a real investigation. This had been a bipartisan investigation by multiple committees in which we had testimony in multiple hearings, including Mr. Jordan's subcommittees, in which it was very clear there was targeting of conservative groups, in which there were people who were acting outside the norm. We're going to continue our investigation, but just because Mr. Cummings would like to have a more convenient truth doesn't give him the right to make a speech. I went through a process of asking questions to determine whether Ms. Lerner would in fact testify. She made it clear through multiple questions that she would not do it, and she would not do it with the delay that her had asked.